Cool. We are now live. I think we'll give it a minute or two before we get into it as more people join. We've been seeing some pretty consistent turnout every day, so I'm curious what today's turnout is going to be like as well. How's everyone's day and evening, and how's your day? Yeah, how have you all been?
I'm pretty good, thank you. It's quite foggy at the seaside right now. So there's like these special days in which you cannot discern the sky from the sea, and it's very beautiful. I wish I could show you.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
You know, your video, even the one with the book and the beach, it was so scenic. I think this is a clip in the recap, in the intro video, and I just looked at it and I was like, damn, I love that. Beautiful view.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's
Wow.
very often it's very the weather's just very gray and rainy, and yeah, we wear these kind of fisherman's jackets all the time.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. Well, hi everyone. I see everyone joining in. We're back with another stream. Today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, which is, how do you like algorithm versus authenticity? And I think this is a struggle that a lot of creatives and creators, and just in general, I think if you are on the creative side, you're experiencing is like this pull between one or the other. We'll get into that. But I'm Michelle. If you have not seen me, I'm here every day till the end of the Epoch. And a reminder, please allocate every person who's on this call besides me, of course, is participating in our Epoch 9. We're going to get into who they are and I'll let them introduce themselves. But if you haven't allocated, please do. Our deadline's on 22nd. We are here every day bringing you different participants in our Epoch, and you get to hear more about them and learn more about them. So with that, let's start with intros. Louis, if you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll go on to Riley.
Yeah, sure. So Louis, nice to meet everybody on the stream, watching, tuning in right now. I'm a storyteller in this industry, predominantly trying to get the voice of Ethereum out there, but primarily trying to enable creators in this whole entire economy to also tell the story. I think that we've struggled as an industry to fully accept the fact that decentralized technology doesn't build narratives itself. And like in my opinion, the way that we get that narrative across is not just by hype, but also by pure storytelling. And I think that as an industry, we've kind of struggled to do good and do well. And I think during this live stream, something that I will be speaking about is how we can do good and do well within the space of being a creator. Yeah, that's kind of my intro and a bit about me.
Incredible. And what's your project called on the app for anyone who does not know?
My project's called the Ethereum Creator Club, and it's pretty much about this. It's about making funding systems that enable creators to tell the story of Ethereum. Like, I think that we've all seen the impact that Octant has made, right? Like, it's incredible to see Octant, the Ethereum Foundation, bring so much attention to the world of the creative economy. But the issue with the creator economy is that nobody is, like, apart from those, a part of the Epoch or who have been a creator for a long time, it's hard to know what it feels like to create when you're not creating for the sake of love and you're creating for money. And like to have to spend 18, 20-hour days grinding and pushing and really getting away from your core values and your core belief systems, it's really hard. And like the creator economy is becoming more and more valuable. And my project, the Ethereum Creator Club, is about having the right value systems, but also the right incentives. So we can actually fund, enable, and help creators grow with funding mechanisms similar to Octant, like quadratic funding mechanisms that can live forever and hopefully bring in 1,000 more creators with the right values and the right incentive structures into the space.
Absolutely. And here's to hoping that other ecosystems run similar rounds and fund fund creators and creatives in a similar way. I think that's going to be. I hoped we see that as we move forward. Riley, tell us more about yourself and about Camilla.
Hello, I'm Riley, and I feel like I've been a lot of things in the past 3 to 5 years, and in my life in general, between being a community builder, a writer, researcher, coordinator, just all around person who's good with words and knows where those words go and how the stories as in themselves bring people together under an idea or under a belief system, or especially mythology, things that really create a narrative to change culture. I've been privileged to change culture a few times in my life, and that has been really nice to see happen, and be a part of that, between comics and between now Ethereum and NFTs, and sort of change people's lives for the better. When you see people coming together for a certain cause or for their local communities or otherwise, it's really heartwarming, especially when you know that there's a good story behind it. So what I'm really doing with Kimia Mag is, Kimia means alchemy, and right now we are going through a societal-wide sort of transformation, and so I want to help people to reach out to people, to interview them, to really listen to other people's stories and tell that story through the lens of Ethereum coordination, how we can use those stories to, build local futures for global resilience, really.
Absolutely, and and I think that's the world we're moving in towards too. Vincent, tell us more about yourself, and tell us more about your project. I think you're muted. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay, you're good now.
Can you hear me now? No?
Yeah. Yes.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm Vincent van Menen. I'm a novel writer and a poet from Belgium. I have written a lot of books already, like a whole pile of them. These are all different novels and book of poems. It's hard to get them in the something like that. That's my oeuvre. I've started writing about 10, 15 years ago, and I was very lucky to get in touch with publishing houses at a very, very young age when I was 22 or something. But a couple of years ago, like in 2020, I got into crypto, just like a lot of you guys, I guess, by chance. And what struck me immediately when I got inside was the strange language people were using on CT. I didn't know CT was CT, crypto Twitter, and also in Discord and stuff. And I was like, there was some magic there. I wanted to do something with that very special lingo. And after a while, I decided, I have to write a book about what's going on here, about this lifestyle, about this, what people are doing, about the people living behind those avatars. And I want to do it in this special CT language. So I wrote 0x Blixa, and it was published in 2023 by Dasmach Publishers, which is a quite renowned Dutch publishing house, and they did very well. It was a prize-winning novel. I got shortlisted for like one of the 3 big prizes here, and But at the same time, so it's written in this whole crypto language. It's full of GMs and degen and yeah, all this kind of weird lingo that we use all the time and that we got accustomed to. But at the same time, I noticed that it was not really very handy for normies to read, although they read it. I mean, although it got all the publicity and all that, but like the title in itself was very authentic. OX Blixa, like all the OX people we know online. So I had to figure something out for that. But still, it worked. Still, it worked very well, despite the hurdle they had to take. And I think that's more or less what we're talking about today with the authenticity versus algorithm vibe. That you have your heart in something, and then you want to talk about it, and then you want to spread it so hard that you choose for authenticity above what readers will like. Yeah, so I that's why I chose OX Blixa for a title which no one in any interview could ever pronounce. All those people asking me, how do I pronounce this? How do I pronounce this? It was a lot of fun.
OX Blixa. So that's, oh wait, I hear myself in the background. Sweet. And yes, we are absolutely going to get into the authenticity part of the conversation. But next up, Natalie, tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, shout out to technology this morning. It's 6 o'clock in Austin, I think, something like that. And so I'm not at home and I'm dealing with hotel lighting, so bear with me. So I'm Natalie. Most people know me from co-founding NFTs.tips, where we onboarded at least like 70,000 people. I stopped counting after some point. And participating in DAOs as an early contributor, and also a bunch of other things. It'd be a laundry list of things over the last like 10 years. And so, yeah, I'm here, and so I don't get fined, and that's it. And my project is forked. We're producing a documentary series featuring local Ethereum communities across the globe. And I think it's really important to tell the story, move beyond the celebrity driven content that we're used to and the hype, and really focus on what's happening across the globe and how these communities have propped up Ethereum and have really built some massive traction. And we're missing that story. So that's my project.
Amazing. Thank you all for all of these intros. So let's start with the first part, which is how have you found your authentic voice, and what has it taken to get to this point? Each of you are experts in narrative and storytelling and connecting with people. And I think long form is obviously one that I've seen each of you excel at, and obviously different formats too. But yeah, Louis, let's start with you. Like, what has it taken for you to get to a point where you can tell when it's, I think one of the coolest things is obviously like you can look at a work and tell that you've been a part of that project, which is quite fantastic on its own. But what's taking you to get to this point? And then we'll go into
a lot of love. I think honestly a lot of pain. And like I think the core premise of storytelling, right, is coordinating. Like storytelling is the oldest form of coordination, and I think you have to ask, like, what are we coordinating on? Like, it's taken me a lot of alignment, honestly. Like, especially when I first started making videos and started making visual storytelling, it was really hard to say no to everything happening in my life. And like, I was going through a lot of mentorship with a friend at a point earlier this year. And like one of the things that she was saying was like, just try to not die. Like no matter what happens, you need to stay alive. And like, as I really aligned myself with this message, like I just started to ask, like, what are my values? Like, what do I care about? And the more that I started to really feel my alignment to Ethereum and why I entered this space 7 years ago full time, which has been a crazy journey, the more that I realized that like there is no more, there's no better story to tell than this. Like this is the story. Like no matter where you're coming from, who you are, how you entered this industry, this is objectively one of the most important experiments to ever happen in the history of tech. In fact, maybe even humanity. And like, if Ethereum fails, the future we're about to enter is extremely dystopian. And to be completely honest, I don't give a fuck about anything apart from making sure that journey doesn't happen. Like, if our future is dystopian, and if we don't succeed with this experiment, if we don't create new actual systems that work in practice, I would be fearful to even, I would be fearful to build a family. I would be fearful to live in the West. Like, there will be so many things that I would be nervous about. And I don't want to live in that future. And to be completely honest, I think our jobs as storytellers is to make noise. Now, the right question is, why are you making noise, right? Like, what are you making noise about? And this to me has been the hard part, is like, with story, or with a good story, there's conflict, right? But with noise, sometimes there's inauthenticity. How do you manage finding the right story with the right conflict and the right message with authenticity? And like, kind of merit the algorithm and the message together. And like, I don't think this is a challenge. I don't think it's algorithm versus authenticity. I think story comes first, right? Like, where's the conflict and what are we messaging and why is this now important? What comes after that is, how do we ensure that people see this video? My first video pretty much got 1 million views. And like, since then, I think that I've averaged a few 100,000 per video that I've worked with my clients. And like, there's a reason why. A, the story is always incredible. B, I make sure that we're building for algorithms. Yes, I inherently love cinematography. I want to battle Hollywood more than TikTok, but that's a personal objective. Like, the actual goal that I have is to make sure the story is fucking heard. If we don't convey this story, we're never going to get to a point in this industry that we really want to be in. And my journey started from frustration. Like, there's two ways to gain success in this industry. And this is a very bubble comment for me to make, but I mean, we're all in the bubble, so I might as well make the comment. You either get good enough to understand the problems in this industry, which enables you to speak about the problems, which kind of makes you come across like you understand the industry, but ultimately, like, you just understand the problems. Or you get really good at distribution or building. And like, that can happen in silence, right? There's this like very unique perspective, and maybe OX Blixa, like, maybe you experience this a lot writing the book, but the entry barrier to making noise in this industry within the bubble is almost zero. Like, anyone can enter the industry and stir up noise. And we're based on the platform which loves controversy, right? Like, controversy on Twitter really does sell. To get to a point where we're actually doing good and doing well, I think is a lot harder. And I think Octant is an incredible example of doing good and doing well. And I think there's a lot of builders that inherently have the right value systems and the right incentives. What hasn't been the case, being like one of the fastest growing storytelling studios in the industry, and B, like, an inherent creator who spent months and years praying that this would be my life and my future, is like, it's really hard to not have a diffused vision when you get here. Like, and to stay true to the values, and to also remind yourself, like, creators don't win, creators fail, creators aren't valued. And to also have a living at the same time is really hard. So I don't think that this is a challenge between algorithm and authenticity. I think this is a challenge with coordinating storytellers and making sure that we have the right values, the right incentives as we tell this story.
Wow, that was a lot to unpack. I don't even know where to start.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you for that TED Talk, Louis. No, but you had so many points. And I really loved what you said, which is like, thinking about distribution and figuring out how to get what you've built to people is important, because I think that's the part that a lot of people don't understand. What I think is an essential to the craft. And this is something I tell my team, or, anytime I've worked with anyone, it's like, you can write the best damn thing in the world, but if no one is reading it, are you writing for yourself? And I don't know. I think it does put you in an uncomfortable position where you have to compete in an algorithm that is incentivizing exactly what you said, rage bait. And I remember the good old days when we had Twitter parties in 2008 versus where we're at now, which is you have to, yeah, there's like, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna like censor myself here, because there's like a lot of different threads that I'm like, oh wait, you know what works really well in the timeline? I'm like, I don't want to call people out, and this is not the stream for that. But
well, like I'm happy to like be the person to say stuff that I probably shouldn't say, and like I think inherently everyone a part of this epoch, I would hope, is trying to battle legacy media. Like I would hope in some sort of a format possible, everyone here truthfully believes that we are the future of media. Like legacy media has like built itself off of stories, but maybe just not the right ones. But like ultimately everything that we've ever consumed from yeah, I mean everything the media's ever pushed has always been around some sort of a story. The more conflict that story has, the more likely it is to be consumed, because conflict evokes emotion, and emotion evokes memory and action. But like whenever you speak to someone about media, they're like, well, I find it hard to consume because it makes me sad. Like if someone here doesn't watch the news, it's probably because it doesn't make them feel good. Like if someone here scrolls algorithm,
that's
probably
one part of
because
it, right? But the other part is also like there's a lot of mistrust in media and legacy media, particularly, that a lot of us have lost. And I think, if anything, the last few years have showed us is like, I actually don't trust the narratives that are coming out of traditional media because they're so biased and they dehumanize so much. And I think because of that, a lot of people would much rather trust independent. Like again, there's like a shifting in narrative trust and all across the world that we're seeing. And anyway, going back to trust. And I think one of the reasons why it's been so cool that we're having this conversation is because each of you have also built trust in audiences and communities and have done a really, really good job of that, right? But going back to finding your authentic voice, Riley, what's your perspective here? I'm curious about.
Well, I've been on the internet for a long time. I feel like as the years go on, you learn a lot about what it means to be a person on the internet and an account on the internet, and you see people treat you a certain way, especially as you become the person in their minds that is that authentic person or the person that they think you are. So there's this for me, there's this constant battle of like what the algorithm shows someone. Like, okay, someone's thinking, someone just read a post before mine, so they have like they have emotions coming into reading what I write or consuming what I post, and then that gets funneled into their perception of me. So there's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of emotions into it, and being someone who's been on the internet for a very long time, well, maybe not a very long time, but long enough, right? It's like you learn how to be a version of yourself. A lot of people do, but I've always felt like, why not just be yourself? Because like it's so much harder to be someone that you're not. And so I feel like I'm the same person on the internet that I am in person, right? And that just makes it a lot more natural for me. That makes it more like so effortless, right? And I feel like a lot of people come to me and asking me how to be authentic on the internet, and because of who I am. And I don't know, I go through a lot of cycles, like aesthetic cycles. I mean, if you look at my Pinterest account, where I get my vision from, my brand from, it's changed a lot in the past 3 to 4 years, right? And every time it does, I make sure to show people, like I say, here's what I'm into right now, here's what I'm reading, here's what I'm looking at, here's what's inside me, Here's what my soul looks like. Here's what I'm sincerely feeling right now. And I think that that resonates with people because they see that, oh, they wish that they could feel, that they could be open, right? That they could open up their soul to the internet. And I feel, for me, that opening up of the soul to the internet has brought me closer to a lot of people, has brought me a lot of trust with other people, has helped me make a lot of friends, or at least acquaintances. You know, has helped me to build a network of people who have similar values and beliefs, and appreciate similar things. And that means a lot to me as a human as well, right? Like if you enjoy my work, then you probably enjoy me because I put my soul, a piece of me, into everything that I hit publish on. Maybe not every tweet, but like everything, every long form, everything that I spend time on has a piece of me, whether it's a big piece or a small piece, you know, embedded into that. And I think people see and feel that as well. And that seems like something that's good to me.
I resonate a lot with that. I know a lot of people talk about personal brand, and I usually, like, I can objectively say yes, there are ways to build your personal brand, but I use Twitter like no one can read my tweets. If you've been following me, you probably know the amount of times I retweet stuff, and it's going to be like random shit, and I'm just like, I genuinely, like, even though a lot of now it's become a lot of work more than fandom and friends from past lives, but I just kind of don't care because it just, yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of insincerity if I start treating it like an account versus just my profile. Like, this is my feed. I'm sharing my thoughts, what I'm feeling, you know, whether it's good, it's bad, whatever it is. And it lately, of course, has been political, and I can't stop myself because that's how I'm feeling. And, you know, after years of like not wanting to ever post anything political, it's like, that's the state of mind I'm in. So, but I resonate with that. I think people connect with real. And I think that's part of why you start building more connections, because people can kind of see long term, right? Like, people are smart. If you're putting on a facade at some point, like, how long can you even make it last? Like, you can't keep it up. So I think that's definitely a part of it. Natalie, what are your thoughts on this? And I know you're quite opinionated on this too. So I've been seeing you nod, and you and Vincent nod. So I'm, yeah.
I shall not get anyone fired today. So I've always struggled with this idea of like a quote unquote personal brand. I also have been on the internet for like since the mid 90s, telling my age, but I came into this, like, you know, having the only computer on the block to now everybody's like personal brand, and it just feels very manufactured to me. And but what I love so much about people like Dallas Penn, who is purveyor of like style and authenticity, but he never said that. The same thing with Anthony Bourdain. He never said he was a journalist. He never said he was a storyteller. He simply wanted to engage people, be approachable, and tell people stories. And the same thing with Dallas Penn, who passed away not too long ago. But he was a good friend of mine. When he first talked to me about crypto and like Ethereum, like all these other things, he asked me like 5 million questions. And then he says, what are these people talking about? And he's like, these people are trying so hard. And I had to explain to him like the culture of like what was happening. And it was so interesting and intriguing to him because he was also a person like me who was early on the internet, who was early to, you know, establish trends, early to like build the story about what was happening on what he called the internet. And so I always kind of captured the essence of him and like a lot of things that I do. And the same thing with other people that I look to. And so I think so many times we're trying to like build the story about ourselves. In reality, we just have to show up. And in reality, we just have to like be ourselves. You know, similar to what Riley said, I have this quote that I live by. I'm like, it costs too damn much to be somebody else. And in crypto, I think oftentimes I'm gonna keep it funky. That's my other quote that people know me by. we try so hard to build this persona about ourselves, and it seems like so 1D. In reality, we're all dynamic human beings, and people want to know who you are. We didn't onboard like tens of thousands of people because we showed up as these other people on these avatars. We showed up because people saw themselves in a community, and there was nowhere else for them to go because a lot of us kind of like gatekept at that moment. And so people were able to say, hey, like, dang, y'all got language access, y'all got a bunch of people from all different walks of life, and y'all are being yourselves, and y'all are wild, but like we'll go see that. And the same thing with the timeline. I'm unapologetic AF. Like, I don't care. Like, I show up as myself because oftentimes on the internet we're expected to be these avatars or these vessels of ourselves. In reality, I'm not that person, and it takes too much time to like cultivate and carve out this person that people may expect you to be. I'm just gonna show up as me, and like, you either like it or you don't, and know that out of kind of that kind of expression online, I'm gonna probably tell you the best damn story ever because I'm not trying to manufacture shit. And so I think ultimately people have to ask themselves, what does it mean to be true to myself and show up in a digital space where there's so many people clamoring for attention, so many people clamoring for like a like? What does it mean to just show up as myself? And that's it. So.
Thank you, Natalie. Mic drop. Vincent, what about you? What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I have to say thank you, Natalie, for saying so many beautiful stuff, and also Riley and Louis. I find it very inspiring, all this talk, because as you've probably noticed, I haven't gotten that much followers on Twitter. Twitter is not my main outlet, as to say, because of the books, and it's very old school with the books, and I go like in the real world, like brick and mortar bookshops and all these kind of things, and it's a very different way of working. But at the same time, I feel that the internet is also always like pulling on people. It's always asking for everyone to be there, and as you previously all said, like to be like a version of yourself that is sellable to an algorithm or whatsoever. And I'm really stupid because and naive also because I also recently opened a TikTok account. And what I'm trying to do there is I because I believe in beauty, which is so stupid. Apparently, what I'm doing there is I'm putting haikus there. It's like a Japanese poem form, like 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables again. And I'm putting them there. Like I take a small video of a ship or something, and then I make a small haiku about it. It's not very special, but it's something I find beautiful, and I put it on TikTok. And although it sucks for the algorithm because it hasn't got my face and all these things, but I find it important to put the haikus there. I want young people aged like 12, 13, 14. I know these kids. They use the TikTok search bar as the way we used Google search bar in 2005, So that for them it's their home space. And then I just want them to, if they search for a haiku, for whatever reason they search for a haiku, that they find haikus, that they find these droplets of beauty. So fuck the algorithm, really. Yeah, sorry for the swearing. I think beauty is so important, and yeah, I try to put beauty in all my books, and at the same time advocate for the values of Ethereum and everything. But we have to like mantle it in beauty, because otherwise it doesn't stick. You can be yourself as much as you want. If you want to build something that lasts and tell a story that lasts and that makes an impact, that is a bit of a lasting impact, you need to wrap it in beauty. You need to wrap it in something that is more than conflict and the fastness and the polarizing things that do well online.
I love that you said fuck the algorithm. but I think a lot of us feel this way. As a marketer, I know I do. But I think like, so now that we are reaching the last 20 minutes of our stream, any advice for anyone who's watching who is trying to be authentic but doesn't quite know how to navigate that, or is trying to navigate this question of like getting started but not really sure how to do it well? What's worked for you, or what hasn't worked for you? You know, feel free to answer either or both. Louis, let's start with you.
I think like first of all is consume with the intent of creating. Like I think that it's really important that anything that you consume, if it's this live stream, right? This is an example. If it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, I'm also not the biggest advocate of algorithms for what it's worth. And yes, I'm a Gen Z. Yes, I grew up with kind of an iPad, kind of not, kind of just about to skip that generation. As soon as I started to tell stories, create, consuming with the intent of creating has been the single-handed biggest thing to move me forwards. And I think my other thing is don't be ashamed to steal. Like artists want to provide to artists, and like maybe it's hard to convince yourself that you are an artist, but if you're creating with love, I think that's kind of the epitome of artwork. And like if there's something that inspires you or makes you feel good, don't feel bad to use it as inspiration. Because if Riley or Natalie or Vincent uses X as inspiration, when you create X yourself, it's always going to look, feel, and come across different because you have different experience, you have different ways of expressing love, your emotions, your feelings, your empathy. Like inspiration doesn't mean that you're copying. It means that you're inspired. And if you're not inspiring, then what's the point of creating?
If you're not inspiring, what's the point of creating? I love that so much. Yeah, I personally need inspiration in life, and I feel quite similarly where it's like if I'm not feeling like I'm alive, like what's the point? Although that can be taken in a variety of ways. So not to go down a deep path.
I just think like you can do all of the above and hit the algorithm. Like, you know, I think like you can create incredible videos about like old like Japanese novels and rituals and like purity and also go viral. Like I don't think that you have to compromise. Like truthfully, I don't.
I do want to step back to something that Vincent said, which was like, how's your TikTok experience been? I say that as, of course, you know, someone who loves TikTok and spends way too much time on there, of course. How have you found creating and how I feel like haikus can probably do well just because there is a whole subsect of people on TikTok who love that content. But how's your experience been? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much followers. Also because I'm working in this small language area, which is Dutch, and I'm already happy if a haiku has 500 views. I'm already like, whoa, amazing, banger, complete banger. So I don't know. It feels more like my duty to put the haiku to put poetry there, and like when I consume it very directly because I like Aikido. I don't know if you know Aikido. It's like a martial art, and I use it to watch videos of like senseis from everywhere who are doing like these very, very great tricks, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool. So I like the medium in itself, and the algorithm is pretty good. I mean, I really like what it really gets to know you very well, very fast. But yeah, for the creating part, I mean, it's not my main focus. It's obviously not my main focus, and I think to come back to the question you asked, like what do you want to give to other people or to people who are trying to create themselves, is to talk or create or make about the things that really, really move you very deeply. Just the same way, I mean, I started writing Blixa because I noticed that young people in the cryptosphere were falling out, like these fallen warriors of degen life. Like recently we had this flash crash on Friday. Plenty of people got liquidated, and then oops, there's some people that disappear, young people that have to take their lives, or like it's very sad. And I was moved because it's young people who obviously have a lot of capacities to do really amazing things with their lives, and then they were just gone. And I found that so sad, and it moved me so much that I had to write a book about it. I really had to. And whenever you find something in life, whether it's online or in real life, that moves you in this profound way, you should create something about it. And that's also, I mean, that's why I want to make this silence project now, like the Octant one. It's because we have, just like Louis said, we have these rails of the future. We have this really amazing, strong, decentralized system that we can really build the future with. And it's very obvious for the ones that are able to see. And I think that if we fail in bringing it out there, we're making a big mistake. And that's an emotion of fear, basically. But it doesn't matter whether it's grief or fear or joy or happiness or any other emotion, or horniness even. Doesn't matter, as long as it's yours, your emotion. And don't be afraid or ashamed about it. That's what I want to give to other people mostly when they're creating. All the emotions you have are valuable and real and good. Humus, like the thing you make a compost for the not humus from the sandwich, like the thing you need for in the vegetable garden. Your emotions are your humus.
That was so profound. And so true, like using your emotions to, and I guess that is a lot of, you can feel emotions when people are right. And I think a lot of times, like, you can tell, and I think the best art is created with the strongest of emotions. And probably why I love sad poetry and music so much. But anyway, what's your take on this, Natalie?
Well, for me, I think people can start off by asking themselves, who the fuck am I? Like, everybody on the timeline wants to be a crypto baddie. I love y'all crypto baddies. Don't get it twisted. Many of my friends, but like, who are you? Like, are you the bad boy? Are you, like, but we're all dynamic people. We're not just that. Like, so many people try to create this one persona. And I said this earlier, we're not 1D people. Like, can you first show the fuck up in the space, hold space for other people? Can you serve up some inclusion? Can we take some damn risk? Like, if we're all producing the same type of content in this space, we're not marketing anything. And so and we're just marketing the same few thousand people in this space. There's tons more, obviously, but we know crypto Twitter shows up in reality as a very small, insular community. But if we're not taking risks, if we're not putting ourselves out there, why are we here? Like, let's not waste time trying to, like, finagle the algorithm. It's a constant battle. The algorithm is constantly in battle with us every single day. And if people are out there and you do marketing, you know this to be true. Every single day, the algorithm is going up against you. And so that means you constantly have to change the strategy. You constantly have to test things. So why not take a risk and put yourself out there? And it sounds easier. It's easier said than done for some people. But look, I'm socially awkward as hell in real life, for real. I'm very boisterous. I can be obnoxious sometimes. I'm always out there. But at the end of the day, for the last 10 years, I've showed up damn near every single day, rarely miss a day, no matter what, rain, sleet, or snow. And so at the least, do that and just put some shit out there on Twitter, on Instagram. Get up. There are so many crypto communities off of Twitter. It's beautiful. Get off the Discords, get into Telegrams, all these other places, and take some damn risks, venturing where no man has gone before, and do some shit. And so I just urge people, again, for the 90th time, be your damn self. There's too many people trying to manufacture personalities and all these things. And to the person who's coming into this space or starting to learn about crypto or Ethereum or whatever the thing is, They don't know anything about that. Cut out the jargon. Let people meet you where you are and where they are, and we can be a happy family, because otherwise we're just continue to repeat the same shit over and over again, and you need to be yourself for the 80th time. And if you need some help, I got you. We can get on Zoom, we can get on the Twitter space, whatever, and we can do this. At the end of the day, I show up as myself every single day, whether people like it or not, unapologetic, and people appreciate that shit. So that is it.
Be your damn self. I know it sounds cliche, but it is true, and it makes a difference. And I think we're all better in the world for you all showing up as your authentic selves. Riley, what's your take on this?
Well, if I'm going to give advice to someone on how to be authentic or more authentic, I would say that for a lot of my life, I felt like I didn't know who I was. And so, and I'm still struggling with that. And I think a lot of people are, especially right now, struggling with that idea of who am I? What am I? What do I value? What do I enjoy? What am I passionate about? And I think what a lot of us tonight have been pulling the threads of are, okay, how do I actually use my emotion and show that I love something and show that I'm passionate about something? This is something that a lot of people over the years comment on about me and about a lot of people that I surround myself with, is that we are so passionate. We show love. We show our heart in these words, in these stories that we tell in. And it's not robotic. It's not copied. It's not pasted. It's not anything but what's coming from inside. And I think you can't really know how to take that, what is inside, and show it to someone, like hand it to someone in your hands, until you know yourself fully and completely. And that requires getting off of the screens, shutting the screen off, and sitting quietly with yourself, with your thoughts, with your body, with your soul, and really asking yourself, who am I going to be in this life? And really, that is extremely difficult. I sat with myself for hours and hours a day for a few years, and that is really difficult to face what's inside you truly, and sit with that and love that and nurture that, and then to say, wow, I'm starting to know myself in my mid 30s, and I'm like, wow, I can love this person, I can feel this person. And now that I'm across the world, I feel like I can enter a community in person and really hang out with people the way that I couldn't feel comfortable with myself doing so before that. Like, I felt like, I was closed off, or I was not fully capable of being myself. But now that I know who I am and know how to express that person and this passion that's inside me, then I can be authentically me in the presence of other people. And then people are like, wow, this person is being themselves. Maybe I can feel comfortable to be myself. And I think that, coupled with the knowledge of the coordination that we're building, the coordination technology, is a sort of a gateway to say, okay, let's bring other people who know who they are together and do the things that we do.
That was beautiful. Thank you for that. Also, thanks everyone who's been sharing and engaging and listening. Shout out to Wayne, Z, Gabe, Sarah, LaBlanca as well, and Jerry, who've been tweeting about the stream and replying to different things that you all have been saying. now that we're reaching the last part of the stream, let's bring it back to the Epoch. So reminder to everybody, please go allocate. Your allocation can quite literally make a difference between 10 ETH and 1 ETH or 5 ETH or whatever it is. So please do consider that. And I want to give the stage to you all. Tell us more about what's possible with the funding. If you get more allocation, what is possible for you? What can you make happen? And how can you help Ethereum grow with this funding? Riley, let's start with you and then we'll do it in reverse order.
Okay, so really what I plan to do and what I know is the right thing to do with the Octant funding and with this round of storytellers is to, I think, not only do more of what I've been doing as far as writing essays, conducting interviews with other community builders and writers and coordinators, is really what I've dreamt of doing my whole life, is to travel around Asia, learn about culture, learn about how people are doing things sort of differently with, loving people, coordinating different types of communities together. And I really just want to learn from and listen to people and then help them tell their story in the lens of how we create both meaning and purpose through Ethereum. And that means, building communities like I've been doing for the past 6 months, where we have brought over 300 people together and then show them how to use Ethereum in order to coordinate their future together. And if I can do that in multiple cities, then we can sort of see that story start to build. And so that's what I plan to do. That's what I hope to do. And then be able to tell that story through my perspective, through my authentic storytelling ability.
Incredible. What about you, Natalie? What does this funding do and make possible?
Just want to let everybody know I'm fangirling Riley. Yeah. So my project Fork is a documentary series. I call it a docu-series. We are aiming to produce 8 episodes featuring local communities across the globe. We already have commitments from people in Brazil and Jamaica and some Japan and some other places. And just a background, I spent many years onboarding communities from across the globe, was early in the Caribbean, onboarding that people. Same thing with Brazil, brought in a lot of early NFT projects, and Japan and some other places. And so I've been building these bridges for well over 10 years in and out of crypto. And so a lot of those relationships I'm bringing to the table, and we want to produce these 8 episodes. Having a max allocation would allow us to produce all of them. Our first episode is going to be in Nairobi, and there's so many fees and kind of challenges in filming there. But I was already going there anyways. So we would love to film there, collaborate with local communities to produce this docu-series. Think Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown with Vice level quality in terms of production. And so I need to upgrade some of my equipment. I haven't upgraded some of it for like many years. So it's there. We also want to pay local crews and fixers, because I think it's really important to do that just out of respect. And doing film work, sometimes fixers don't even get paid. And so I think it's unethical. And so having this max allocation would allow us to film all these 8 episodes, do some B-roll, do some interactive content. And I think that's a missing piece in some of the content being produced in this space, is that how are we can produce content, but how are we actually reeling people in and making it interactive and fun and entertaining? And so, and also the last thing, we also want to make it accessible to different audiences. And so adding different language subtitles and also accessibility features, so that we can include people that have disabilities. Somebody who has a disability, we're often left out of the fold and can't access some content. And so I want to make sure that we are able to fund all these bits and pieces of Forked to make sure that we are producing something that's high quality, but also fun, engaging, and super cool. So we will feature all these communities, provided we get max allocation. So that is it.
Amazing. I'm excited for this, and I do hope that both you and Riley, and obviously Louis, you and Vincent, and all of you get a lot of funding to to make it all possible. Louis, what difference does this funding make, and what can it make possible?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges that I've faced building a studio with the focus of storytelling is, if we don't turn every untold story, then it's very hard to like actually have a decentralized network of storytellers. And it's really hard to make sure that everybody has the right tools, the right values, and the right incentives to go and tell these stories. And like, it's all well and good having like great storytellers in London, in America, in Asia, but ultimately, like, if we don't have this happening all the time in all different nationalities, in types of languages that not everyone can speak, over every algorithm that you can imagine, it's impossible to bring this narrative to life in the right way. So this funding to me would enable the Ethereum Creator Club to be the ETH Global to content creators, where we have these bounties, these incentives, these programs to go and actually give creators, storytellers, freedom to create whatever they like. So there would be specific bounties set by said projects in the ecosystem. There would also be monthly reoccurring bounties where people every month have the opportunity to go and submit their storytelling, to submit what they want to produce and what they want to create. And ultimately, what I really want is for this to kind of be the start of a larger trickle down effect that Octant has enabled, and like, hopefully we can then continue and make sure it doesn't just die, right? Because like, it's also about consistency. We want to make sure this keeps happening. We need the story to continue being distributed. It's very hard to communicate Ethereum's future. Like, storytelling being where it is today in this industry is a result of A, the experiment is still happening, it's still pretty early. B, communicating the experiment without any jargon in a way that humans understand has been maybe figured out by a very select few. And that's coming from someone that's worked with a lot of great people telling their stories. But what we do have is 10 years behind us, right? So really what this funding enables is for me to go and fund creators, for me to give all of the money that we receive in funding to people that want to go and tell the untold stories of the past 10 years and what happens if this experiment works.
Absolutely. And we're here to decentralize storytelling. So I love the vision, and I hope it comes to life. Vincent, what does this funding make possible?
Yeah. So of course, it took me about 2 years to write OX Blixa, and I would use the funding mostly to write a sequel to OX Blixa, in which it's called Silence, in which privacy and like this dystopian thriller, in which blockchain is used like as a printing press for freedom. And the good part is that I have the ability to reach a lot of normies with my books. Already for Blixa, there was publishing house interest all over the world for translations in Chinese, in German, in publishing house from Argentina, America, Turkey. That's a lot of local communities. And a big part of the funding would be used also to engage in promotion for translation rights towards those publishing houses who already have shown interest. And I think even just the Octant app, like the Octant being selected for this Epoch already gave an extra boost. I talked about this with publishing house, so that was already amazing. Now, the more funding we can gather, the bigger the chances that we can get like a big worldwide audience for these kind of thrillers that keep people up at night, and shovel like the small, like use the story to as a message to, they will feel it. If they feel how decentralized values work in a story, if they can like connect to this main character, then and afterwards they will be onboarded quite easily. And I think we can make a difference this way.
Absolutely, and I'm excited for the second novel, and I hope you get the funding for
Me
it.
too.
I know we're at time, so I just want to thank you all for sharing so much so candidly. I know this has been really, really valuable for anyone that's watching. You know, on behalf of the Octant community, the Ethereum community, thank you for doing all of the work that you do and for all of the years of work that you all have done. It makes a difference. And I just, you know, for anyone who's watching and is participating in this allocation, please consider allocating to projects. There are so many great projects out there. Obviously, this is such a great selection of people that we have here that we are so honored to invite and to share more. But you can find detailed descriptions for every single project on the projects page. So please do check that out. Natalie's project is Forked. Louis is the Ethereum Film Creator Club. And then Vincent's is Silence as the title. If you are confused, you can always obviously reach out to us and ask too. We are going to be doing a thank you tweet at the end with everyone's social handles. So please follow everyone that is here. Go support their work. And if you are not part of the allocation in the Epoch, there are so many ways to support people, even outside of just financial funding. Go amplify content, go respond to it, go share their cool work, go share it with people behind the scenes. Like there is so much that people can do, and it does not take a lot. It just takes effort, a little bit of effort, which I think the world is better for all the effort and all the people who put in effort. So I think that is a good note to end on. 2 call to actions, even outside of the Epoch. Of course, we are going to be back with a demo day one day before the last day with all of the projects that are in this Epoch. So you'll get to hear their 5-minute pitch, and that's going to be really great. We also have a creator program that's open, and the deadline is this week. That is to support creators. Through this Epoch, we realized that there's a lot of support areas and growth areas that we could contribute from an Octant perspective. So we have put together a 2-week program where anyone who participates is going to be actively creating content, is going to be actively, quite literally, building towards their own growth. So if you want to understand the behind the scenes decisions and how those are made, if you want to hear from different ecosystems, if you want to hear from different experts who have made it in the space, and who have done well with audience building and are killing it, this will be the right program for you. It is intense because it is 2 weeks of commitment and work. And there is a time frame that we do want availability during, but we are putting so much into adding as much value as we can. There is a link that we're going to be replying to the stream too, so we'll be pushing that out every day. But yeah, we're trying to make it as good of a program as we can. If you are also going to be at DevConnect, we have a bunch of activations. We're looking for speakers for the Enterprise Hub. And then we have a bunch of other cool things, including the DeFi Summit that we're organizing at the end of this month. So a lot coming from the Octant side. I just hope, fingers crossed, that everything goes well. But for this Epoch, again, please check everyone's profile. Please allocate. And your difference in allocation can mean a big difference in matching. Like there is a big pool of matching funds that is up for grabs for projects. So please consider supporting, and it makes a big difference to people on the receiving end. So with that, thank you all, Natalie, Louis, Riley, and Vincent, for joining us. And thank you everyone who has watched the stream and has stayed on till the end or is watching later. We'll see you back here tomorrow.